Clear out the bugs from last night. Was like, gotta wake up.
Oh, man. Chatting with Trevor and Shea from Scenic Route to Alaska. Boys, how are you?
Doing pretty good. Feeling good after last night.
Yeah, we had an incredible show here in Calgary at Festival Hall. Thanks for having us on the show, Sam.
Oh,
thanks for coming to the show too.
Amazing. It was a great time, man. I love that venue. I joke that that's the only time I ever go to Festival Hall is actually to see you guys. Those are the only shows I've ever gone to there, are your guys's. But yeah, how was it getting to play songs off the new record? Because you guys have a new record that came out earlier this month, Last Forever. How is it getting that back into the rotation?
Honestly, it feels, I can only speak for myself, but it feels therapeutic. I mean, to go the whole process from writing the songs at the edge of my bed to showing Shea and Murray and building something totally unique and different, and then to being on stage, playing them in front of people who, after 3 weeks of the album being out, somehow actually seemed like they had listened to the record and were singing along. Like it's so humbling, and it felt so good. It feels so fresh.
Yeah, that's got to be cool to share, like, you know, your baby that you just spent like a year working on or more.
It is.
To share with the world, right?
Yeah, it seems like it's such a long process from inception or conception, I guess, if it's our musical baby, to being out into the world. And it takes you on such a mental journey, too, from just writing those songs in such an introverted place to being on stage performing them as an extrovert. It's a whole different change of pace, and it brings new life to the songs, too, I find.
Yeah, no, 100%. It was really interesting getting to see people actually dig, like, not even like Last Forever, but like some of like the B-side stuff. I was like, damn, people are committed to this stuff. Like they came ready. It's not even a hometown show either, right? So
it's pretty amazing. I mean, I feel like with most of the records we've put out too, for whatever reason, it seems like everybody has their own favorite song on the record. And again, like, it's been 4 years since we put out a record, so it's really nice and, you know, like Trev says, almost therapeutic to kind of have that kind of response again.
Yeah. Now, that when you were saying favorite on the record, I'd be interested from both you guys. What is your guys' personal favorite on the record?
Oh, that's
because I've got one, and it might be a little different.
Wow.
I'm curious what you guys have.
It's kind of asking somebody who has 8 kids which one's their favorite. But for myself, I have to go like the most organic song that came to me was the first song on the record, which is a very heartfelt, vulnerable one. Call It a Coincidence. And it was classic cliche, but I wrote that song pretty much in the same time it takes to play it. So it felt, when something like that kind of just like flows through you, I don't really take credit for it almost. It feels like as close as I can get to an out-of-body experience. And I think really what it is just my deep subconscious trying to say something that I haven't been able to put into words for myself. But I feel attached to that song just because of how easily it came to me and how much I felt when I was writing it.
Awesome. What about you?
You know what? On that same sentiment, when Trev brings a song, sometimes sometimes this just clicks, you know. And for us, like Last Forever was kind of like that. It felt like we played the song mostly how we recorded it almost immediately, and you know that's an amazing feeling when you're trying to create a new record. And it goes so easily.
Yeah, I have a different pick.
What's your deep cut?
It's NYE.
Ooh, New Year's Eve.
Nice.
And 2 reasons. First of all, just the beginning of that track just pulls you in, and also it's got a saxophone solo. So and I had to ask, where did that come from? Because you don't expect the saxophone to start up, and once you do, you're like, damn, this is cool, but I was not expecting that at all.
We haven't taken that many quote-unquote risks on our records before, and we've always kept things very much as a trio, like so that we could replicate it live almost exactly like we recorded it. But when I was writing that song, I was like, okay, I've said all I need to say in the verses here. And then the sax solo comes over what would be the third verse. And it was honestly, we were jamming it, and as soon as we were jamming it kind of instrumental, I was like, sax solo, man. It's got to be a sax solo from its inception. And then we reached out to one of our friends. His name is Mitch Davis, also known as Mitch Maddock back in the day in Edmonton. He lives in Montreal now, but we sent him the track without any, I think, with just some scratch vocals on it. Yeah. And it's kind of a weird song. Like, it transfers from genres. It's kind of got like an old R&B vibe, and then some like serious dad rock in the chorus, and then
a little bit of cowbell going on.
Yeah, some cowbell on that. And we were like, "Hey, Mitch, can you rip a sax solo over top of this?" And he was like, "I can try." And then what he sent back, I was like, "This is perfect. It's exactly what I was imagining in my head."
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was awesome. I was not expecting it at all, and I was like, I dig this song so much more now.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a little bit of ear candy, and honestly, might have to expand. Start taking some brass on the road.
Oh my god, you're like Arkells. You've got like a full horn section behind you playing, or what?
Yeah, for a 15-second solo.
That's it. They're paid for the full show, but they only do the 15
Yeah,
seconds.
We're gonna have to get like a MIDI pad that just triggers a sax solo. But
That would be hilarious if you could just hit that and it just plays the solo that he ripped. That'd be great. So for you guys getting back into the studio, it was first album in 4 years. Did you want a sound that was similar to Tough Luck and Long Walk Home, or were you guys just kind of coming up with it in the moment? It did sound a little bit different than the album that came out in 2020.
Good. I mean, I feel like we never really think about what we did on the last record. It always kind of, we're moving forward, and that's the longest period of time we've gone between records.
Yeah.
And a lot happened during those records too. So for us, I mean, we wanted to self-produce this one and kind of just work on it we jammed those songs for about a year, making them what they are now. And I feel like we wanted to take full ownership on this record, and maybe that has to do with the sound change, but also just we're different people than we were 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I found for myself at least, I mean, this is our 7th release, which is pretty wild for me to think about. And I think when we were writing it, that was kind of a good opportunity to zoom out and realize that we've also been given such a good, well, we've worked for it as well, but we've been given such a good education. We've worked with some incredible producers before. We worked with Howard Redekop for 2 of our records, and he did a bunch of the early, like Tegan and Sarah, Mother stuff.
Yeah.
And then we worked with Marcus Pecan on a different project with Major Love, and he's done like The National and Begonia and some incredible albums. And I think I found myself in those situations being in the moment as an artist, but also just trying to take in as much as I could and watch what they were doing to take these songs that we had written and bring them up to a new level and bring them to a new life. And yeah, I think I came away with a bit of a tool set that I didn't have before. And then it gave us the confidence that we knew what it took to make at least like a sonically, outstanding record that can be played on radio stations without sounding like it was totally recorded in a garage or something. And it was a great opportunity for us to really showcase. It was kind of like going back to our roots, but with 7 albums of education.
Yeah, it was. Knowing that it's like self-produced, it's pretty crazy how that album sounds, because like your first time producing or like for yourself can be hit or miss for some bands. I know, like, I'm a big Black Keys fan, and some of those early produced albums are like pretty wild. There's not a lot of like engineering on there, but they're good.
Right.
For you guys, it came through really well, and you guys got to record it at Studio Bell. What was that like? It's got a bit of a Calgary connection.
Yeah, it was. We love Studio Bell, and for myself at least, I got a little I had some more toys to play with. Shea actually used his own drum kit on the record. There was nothing too fancy in the drum world there other than nice mics to make it sound good, but yeah. I got to play some of Randy Bachman's guitars.
No way.
Yeah, I played Randy Bachman's guitars through one of Neil Young's old amps. So my 12-year-old self was euphoric. Honestly, I feel like it brought excitement into the studio too, and into those sessions. And we recorded all of the bed tracks. So Shea Murray and I playing live off the floor. We recorded them all live together in the studio there, and then I took all of those tracks home back to Edmonton and went to Murray's basement, which we've dubbed the Jazz Cafe, because there's a neon sign down there that glows. And I recorded for the first time too. I took a shot at engineering and recording. I recorded all the vocals at my own pace, and all of the backing vocals and stuff Shea helped me with as well. And we got to do that in a safe space without being on expensive producer time. And I feel like it translated. There's no auto tuning anywhere on the record. What you hear is an honest take and an honest approach of the best we can probably do live, it felt like. Yeah. But it was so nice being given the time to do that, and also to leave some of the imperfections, because that is who we are. And I wanted it to sound like you are sitting in the living room in our jam space hearing the best version of ourselves.
Yeah, and you can see that translate to the live show too, right? I mean, it sounds pretty much exactly the same.
Other than the sax solo.
Other than the sax solo, that's the only thing that's missing, But that is also I've never had a more disappointing experience than going to see a band and they sound absolutely nothing like they do on the studio record.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to connect to your fans in a way, right?
And it is who we are. I mean, that we try to embrace being a 3-piece, so we tried not to layer too much stuff that we couldn't replicate. And again, just give them the most honest, an honest record. And we've been doing it for so long that we felt like we should be at the point where we can just do this and give it to our fans. And the response has been really, really good. And you can tell it feels like people are connecting to it a little bit deeper than they had with some of our previous stuff, maybe.
Yeah. Well, on live, you guys got to have Thomas come up with the keys and stuff, fill out Last Forever a little bit more, which was nice.
That was beautiful. They're local legends here in Calgary, and I can only imagine they seem like they are very much on the up and up. So we'll have to keep our eyes open.
Oh, they're wonderful. We've seen them a couple of different times here in town, and just they're great. I had to ask about recording the music video for this, because the idea of riding a roller coaster and then the roller coaster like blowing up, basically, where did that come from?
I was like, our buddy Dale. It was his brainchild. He as he said, his inspiration was that there's that video of like this dad holding his baby in the laundry, basket and showing a roller coaster and kind of moving the baby along with the roller coaster. And so he wanted to do that kind of obviously with the roller coaster behind us and kind of, that was his wacky idea that he had. But we showed up that day and he had built this rig in his mom's garage with a giant green screen in the back, and we really didn't know what we were getting ourselves completely into that day. There was no real like rehearsals or that much prep, but we had a team of people kind of like moving us around in this pretty
massive rig,
janky rig,
very janky,
strapped to some like van seats. And we kind of just did it off the cuff. I think we had about, I don't know, 4 or 5 takes.
We only had that much real pyro. And we did it all in one take, which I think is like made it so much more fun. There's no cuts or anything like that. So we had no spoilers, but if you haven't seen it yet, we end up in spacesuits. So we had these spacesuits down around our ankles the whole time, and we're getting shaken around on this massive DIY. I think it should be on like a bunch of Reddit threads for DIY garage roller coaster rigs. I'm sure there's a Reddit thread out there for that. But yeah, and then at the end of every take, there's also wind blowing our face. So we had one guy with 2 leaf blowers on each shoulder.
No.
Absolutely. It was so hard not to just be laughing the whole time because we're watching this in real time, and I'm trying to sing along and play at the same time too. And yeah, he's got 2 leaf blowers blowing at us, and then at the end of the video, Dale, who produced the video, he comes in he had a plank of wood that he screwed a bunch of firecrackers into. So it's real pyro blasting straight in our faces. That's why we can only do 4 takes. He only bought so many firecrackers. So we, at the end of it, we went and just looked at which take was our favorite, and they all had some funny moments, and it was, I feel like we got a little bit lucky, very lucky to have Dale's creative brain going on it too, but it turned out better than I expected. At first, I was a little bit hesitant. I was like, guys, I don't know if just riding like a roller coaster is like a vibe, but it turned out to be way more than that.
No, and at the end of the video, you guys basically have the outtake when you're done with the pyro.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Like, I can't even imagine...
Oh, yeah, I thought
the experience of like filming that.
It was so funny. Yeah, Dale opened up his garage door and just absolutely billowing smoke out of the garage. Like, we were sure that the neighbors were going to be calling the fire department, but apparently the neighbors are used to Dale doing some pretty crazy stuff around there.
There's smoke billowing out of my neighbor's garage.
Yeah. Oh, that's just Dale.
Yeah. It's just Dale. That's it. You touched on it a little bit earlier. It is album number 7 for you guys, which is crazy to think about. Mm-hmm. Having done this a few times now, having a few different release cycles, is there something you guys appreciate more every time a new record drops versus like probably the first time you're probably like, holy shit, I put out a record, basically?
Yeah.
There's always I don't know if there's something that we appreciate more. It's always kind of just exciting trying to make a record in a different way. And every record we've done, it's kind of been like a next stage in our career, next stage in our, evolution as a band. And I don't know. That's the best part about being a musician, is getting to be in the studio and creating, music and art. And it never gets old. You know, we want to keep doing it. That's why we've done 7 so far, and I don't, you know, we'll probably make it to at least 10.
10's the goal. 10's the
goal.
The bare minimum. Yeah, but
sign me up. I'm cool with that.
I found for myself, I really found coming out of the pandemic too, I've got a really renewed sense of appreciation just to be able to do what we're doing at all. Like, I think, to be honest, I was getting pretty calloused leading up to the pandemic, and we'd been touring so much. We'd been put out a lot of records, and as we talked about before the show even started, like, progression is such a strange thing to measure in the music industry, and everybody takes their own approach and a different path. And I felt like I was getting to the point where there was some shows where I was on stage and I unintentionally would be playing these songs through muscle memory and have like grocery lists going through my head. And I would get off stage and I would feel like internally guilty and a bit of like a shame kind of feeling and be like, I'm doing what I love and I still can't find a way to be present right now. And I think the pandemic reset all of that for me intensely. I very quickly realized how much I was missing doing what we'd been doing.
Yeah.
And so now putting out this new record, it's given me a whole new sense of energy and motivation and mainly appreciation. Like you said last night, to see people singing these songs back at us that we've put out, it's the weight is never lost on me. And more than ever, I'm appreciative and grateful like I've never been before.
Yeah. And it's crazy to see that. Like, you know, my buddy was sitting there screaming, "Play more Warrington stuff."
We've got too many. I think it was 68 songs last time I looked now. And I, like I said last night on stage, unfortunately, if somebody calls out like a deep take and I think, oh my gosh, I would totally mess this up if I tried to play it for you right now. But it's such a beautiful thing that people are connected to songs that we don't even really put too much time into anymore. I appreciate that.
I was surprised when you guys came back out for the encore and you guys played Rose Petal Sunset, because that wasn't a track that I was really expecting you guys to be like pulling out quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's like at the back half of that last record, and it was cool to see that. It's kind of a nice, especially if you're, you know, like a real fan of a band, to see that. The other thing I was going to ask is like, the last album came out during the pandemic, and it was really difficult to tour and promote that album. Mm-hmm. Has it been nice to be able to just immediately go back out on the road and like tour the record?
You can't imagine. That's why I think I've got so much appreciation for this one. It's like, it was halfway through 2020. We put out Time for Yourself, and we thought, like everybody else, we thought, maybe in 2 weeks we'll be able to get back on the road and show this off. But that was also a time where the internet was so oversaturated by people sitting around putting stuff out, so we felt like, honestly, it felt like that record almost never happened for us. Like, we put it out and there was none of that feedback that you get from playing live or from being present in the scene a little bit. It was just kind of like, throw it out onto the internet and then you get your one day of people being like, oh, sick, new record, and then that was it. It kind of died off, and it was a bit heartbreaking after putting so much time into something. And then again though, it's only made my appreciation for this album cycle and this new record grow.
We did the album release for that record at the same place we did the album release for the previous record, which was a sold out show in Edmonton. Is at the Starlight Room. There's about 600 people there, and to do the album release during the pandemic to an empty Starlight Room,
the live stream,
looking on a live stream, looking back, like looks kind of sad now. It seems kind of sad.
Yeah, it was, and we got to say, our fans who did tune in, they were so appreciative to like have any kind of like connection. The best we could do at the time. But it was very strange to be on this massive stage in this massive room. You play like what we think is like the hit, and then it's just silence after. You know, there's only a cameraman and a sound tech there, and like they would golf clap from afar, and you're just like, there's just none of like. It makes me appreciate the people. So I know I keep saying it, but like that is what gives us energy, and that's what gives us purpose. Is the fact that real connection and seeing people sing along like they have actually connected with these songs, and to just send it into the abyss was really strange.
They needed to pump in some of the fake crowd noise, kind of like the NHL used to do during the pandemic. Let's go!
Now we should have had you on the show. That would have been smart.
And you touched on this last night. This is kind of off kilter from the album, but why no shoes on stage? Like, seriously, because
I got heckled last night, eh?
Well, I mentioned it to my buddy, and then like 30 seconds later, somebody was heckling you from the other side, and I was like,
that heckler actually got me to sign his shoes after the show last night. So he
No.
wasn't heckling. Obviously, he was a fan. He was just making a joke. But
It was a good chirp. It was a good chirp.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a good chirp. It's good to be literally on my toes on stage, no shoes. But I spent my whole life playing music either at the edge of my bed or jamming in the basement, and I've never worn shoes. So it's like part of my process, as like silly as that sounds. But it's how I feel comfortable. It's like the one thing I can do on any stage that makes me, it kind of gives me a new sense of groundedness, if that's a word. And also, I only have a very tiny pedal board, but I use my toes to move around what I do have a little bit, and it's just not possible with shoes on. But, you know, we had a manager who was like, when he first started managing us, and he's the sweetest man, but he was like, you got to wear shoes on stage, man. Like, you got to wear shoes on stage. So I went through a little phase of wearing shoes on stage, but didn't do it for me. And honestly, it's like, I'm not trying to like make a statement. There's also a line in Love Keeps in one of our more popular songs that says, I got holes in my socks from dancing last night, and I love being able to hold up my feet and say, like, here they are. You
Check
know?
my socks out.
Yeah, I'm not lying. These are real lyrics. Bro.
now you are sock feet, which is actually not that bad.
Yeah, if I
because,
was going barefoot, like Hobbit style, that might be.
well, that's a Brett from Glorious Sons move. You see him, and he's got no shoes on, and he'll be sprinting back and forth from like side to side on the stage. I'm like, how do you not step on glass
Or like,
and like hurt your foot?
I know the other musicians who have been on this stage, like, you're going to wake up with some planter's warts for sure. Socks are my only barrier, you know? It's safe sock practice.
What do you remember from that Calgary show? Oh, you know, I got like 4 plantar warts on my right foot, you know? Like, it's gross. But it's good that you get like the familiar feel, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I've wondered, like Jack White will wear like these elaborate like boots and stuff, and I'm like, how are you playing these pedals this well
Yeah, right.
with these shoes on?
Don't get me wrong,
understand.
it's cool. I wish I was wearing moon boots or something, you know, a fashion statement up there, but it's just how I feel comfortable. Makes me feel like I can, when I close my eyes, I can, in more intimidating situations, like I still get nervous being in front of a crowd, obviously, like, so it just is one way to make me feel a little bit more like myself.
Interesting. That's cool. Again, completely off topic. Oil playoff run.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
Yeah, I was gonna ask
We're allowed
you guys.
to talk about that here?
Why not?
Oh, I love it.
Why not? We'll
I'm giddy just hearing it.
Well, so you guys did like a few watch parties and stuff in the past few years for the Oilers. How are you guys feeling going into this year again against LA?
Oh, it's a bit like Groundhog Day, but honestly, the previous results have been in our favor, so we're not too stressed. Shea and I, we taped the game last night, so we stayed up till 2:30 in the morning watching. We knew the score, but that was even better to watch, knowing that the Oilers were gonna spank them in LA. But I also said this. I want to say to the Calgary fans, I said this last night, and I mean it. As an Edmontonian, if we weren't in the playoffs and Calgary was, I'd be cheering for Calgary, which is a big thing for us to say. But yeah, man, I want the cup to come to Alberta, you know, and we have enough Calgarian friends up in Edmonton that the whole like childhood, like, oh, you know, F the Flames, like, I don't know. Sure, if we're playing each other in the playoffs, F the Flames. But if not, I'm just cheering for Alberta to bring a cup home.
It's interesting. I'm pretty like jaded.
No
I
doubt.
just hate watching Edmonton kill us all the time. So sometimes I'm like, I don't want them to win. But
I think Trev would feel differently if the Flames were beating the crap out of the Oilers constantly.
Yeah, 100%. I'm only
If we had
speaking
Connor-
hypothetically here.
He's on his
if we
high
had Connor
horse right
McDavid,
now.
it'd probably be flipped right
this
now.
is why I can say these things, you know?
I'm just super excited. It looks like we might get Edmonton and Vancouver.
Oh,
Oh
I don't
my
know if I
gosh.
can handle that.
Dude, I was talking about it on air today that like the two of them are gonna kill each other. Like the fans hate each other.
Yeah, it's worse than Edmonton Calgary, honestly, in my opinion. Like Edmonton Calgary is a more friendly rivalry. Like sure, it's heated, but I feel like Edmonton, Vancouver, Calgary. Do you guys have that with Vancouver too? The Flames?
We
or?
did back when they were good in 2011, but it's really kind of like neither of us have been good at the same time.
Yeah.
I used to work at the arena in Edmonton, and so I was an usher there, and so I get to watch the games and whatnot. But when Calgary would come through, it was like an Oiler fan and a Calgary fan would go together, and it was like this buddy rivalry. When the Canucks came to town, it was like a group of 10 Canucks fans and a group of Oilers fans, and they would battle. It would be like there would be a lot of fist fights, and those were the worst games to work, you know.
That's crazy. I would have thought it would be Calgary 100%. But yeah, like
It
I
is
have
more buddy.
I have so many Oiler fan buddies that I can't be a dick to them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
We feel the same way.
I mean, we have yet to play our Vancouver show, so I got to be careful what I say in case they hear this. But it's true. I don't. I mean, I feel sorry for them if they have to play us. But
I don't know. I mean,
we got to get out of the first round here. I shouldn't
didn't-
be talking so big.
yeah. I mean, it could turn and Nashville and LA both win.
Yeah.
That's the playoff series
That's the
everyone
playoffs.
wants to see, right?
Yeah,
LA
right.
and Nashville.
That's how you sell the game.
Boring.
It's hilarious though, that series. I keep watching and I'm like, okay, so either LA wins in overtime or the Oilers blow the doors off them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
So far.
and it's been like that for like this is the third series in a row that it's like that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. That's kind of the Oilers style. I mean, when they're on, they're dominant.
Yeah.
When they're not, it's a close game.
Yeah. I think that's super cool. I hope they go deep. Hopefully you guys get to play some pregame shows or
Oh,
something
yeah.
at
I mean,
Rogers.
that means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for letting us talk about the Oilers.
Yeah.
Honestly. Thanks, man.
Amazing. Well, that's all I've got for you guys. I'm so stoked on the new record. If you haven't had the chance to listen to it, Last Forever. It came out earlier in April, and thank you for dropping by, guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for having us, Sam. Thanks for the support here at X92. We truly appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing, boys.